Be calm.
감옥 같은
이제는 말할 수 있죠. 나는 잘못되면 안 돼. 잘못되면 안 돼요.
Song Hye Kyo, the woman who turned heartbreak into art, born on November 22, 1981, now 44 years old. Some stars dazzle you with beauty. But Song Hye Kyo, she doesn't dazzle, she lingers. There's a quiet melancholy in her eyes, a kind of grace that seems carved from both light and loss. She's the actress who never needs to say much, her silence does the speaking. And in that silence, entire worlds unfold. From Autumn in My Heart to Full House, Descendants of the Sun to The Glory, Song Hye Kyo has defined and redefined what it means to portray love, pain, and resilience. In her early years, she was the face of innocence, the soft-spoken girl whose kindness could break you with a smile. But as time passed, that innocence deepened into something far more powerful, emotional wisdom. In The Glory, she stepped into the shadows and came out blazing, raw, fierce, and hauntingly controlled. It wasn't just a role, it was a rebirth. She proved that beauty wasn't her armor, emotion was. Every expression was precision, every pause a scar. You could feel decades of heartbreak condensed into a single, trembling breath. Song Hye Kyo's artistry lies in her restraint. She doesn't push for drama, she invites it. When she cries, she doesn't crumble. She softens, letting sorrow move through her like water finding its way home. At 44, her presence is magnetic in a new way. She doesn't rely on youth or glamour. She relies on truth. Her beauty now feels eternal, not because of perfection, but because of depth, the kind that only comes from walking through storms and still choosing to bloom. Off-screen, her life has unfolded in the public eye, love stories, heartbreaks, reinventions, but through it all she's remained poised, never defensive, never desperate for attention. Her silence is her strength, her grace, her rebellion. There's something profoundly human about Song Hye Kyo, the way she carries both fragility and fortitude in the same heartbeat. She has learned that pain doesn't diminish you, it sculpts you. And when she stands in front of the camera now, she doesn't just act, she heals. Because Song Hye Kyo is more than an actress. She's an emotion made flesh, the quiet ache you can't forget, the soft strength you wish you had, the timeless reminder that heartbreak, when embraced, can become art. Gong Yoo, the man who carries time in his eyes, born on July 10, 1979, now 46 years old. Some actors age, others evolve, but Gong Yoo, he transcends time altogether. There's something extraordinary about him, something that words can't quite contain. Maybe it's the quiet depth in his eyes, the kind that seems to hold both memory and mystery. Maybe it's the way he moves, the way he pauses before every line, as if he's tasting the emotion before letting it leave his lips. From Coffee Prince to Goblin, from Train to Busan to The Silent Sea, Gong Yoo has become not just an actor, but a storyteller of souls. He can make you laugh, ache, and reflect, sometimes all in the same scene. His magic lies not in transformation but in truth. He doesn't play characters, he becomes the heartbeat of the story. In Goblin, he turned fantasy into poetry. Every gesture, every smile, every tear felt eternal, like watching a god trying to understand what it means to be human. And when he looked at the woman he loved, it wasn't acting. It was as if time itself had stopped to listen. At 46, Gong Yoo carries a calm that only experience can bring. He's not chasing fame, not fighting for relevance. He knows who he is, and that certainty radiates through every role he takes. There's gravity in his stillness, a sense of life fully lived, of stories untold behind those quiet eyes. He can walk into a frame and change its temperature. He can say nothing and make you feel everything. That's not charisma, that's presence. That's the kind of artistry that cannot be taught, only earned. Off-screen, he's known for his humility, his solitude, his deliberate distance from the noise of celebrity. But perhaps that's his secret. He protects his mystery, the way an artist protects their unfinished canvas, letting only the art speak for itself. Gong Yoo doesn't just represent maturity, he embodies serenity. He's the calm before the storm and the peace that follows it. He's the proof that a man doesn't need to be loud to be powerful, nor young to be captivating. Time doesn't touch Gong Yoo. It collaborates with him. It refines him, shapes him, and through him reminds us that some things like grace, soul, and sincerity never fade. He isn't merely timeless, he is time. Gentle, fleeting, infinite. Lee Byung Hun, the legacy of power and poise. Born on December 15, 1972, now 52 years old. There are stars who shine brightly for a season, and then there are legends like Lee Byung Hun who become constellations. He is not just a name in the credits, he is a chapter in the story of Korean cinema itself. When he first appeared in the 1990s, Lee Byung Hun carried a kind of intensity that was impossible to ignore. In Sandglass, his presence was electric, young, raw, and bursting with promise. He was handsome, yes, but it was the stillness in his gaze that set him apart. Even then, he looked like a man who had lived many lives. Through the years, he crafted a career built on choices, bold, patient, and precise. He never chased popularity, he chased excellence. From Il Mare to New World, from The Housemaid to Squid Game, every performance carried the weight of mastery. He didn't just adapt to time, he commanded it. In Squid Game, the world finally saw what Korea had known for decades. His portrayal of Song Hye Kyo wasn't just powerful, it was profound. A man broken by the world, yet still searching for light. A hero not born of glory, but of survival, regret, and compassion. It wasn't just acting, it was empathy transformed into art. At 52, Lee Byung Hun stands at the height of his power, not because of fame, but because of authenticity. His charisma doesn't come from perfection, it comes from presence, from the quiet authority of someone who has built his legacy one role, one scar, one truth at a time. He moves with the calm assurance of a man who no longer needs to prove anything. Every glance, every breath feels deliberate, as if he's in full command of the air around him. He's no longer playing characters, he's inhabiting souls. Off-screen, his evolution continues. As a filmmaker, as a global ambassador of Korean storytelling, Lee Byung Hun represents the bridge between the past and the future, tradition and transformation. He stands for everything that has made K-drama not just entertainment, but art. And when you watch him now, eyes steady, voice measured, presence magnetic, you understand something profound. He hasn't defied time. He's mastered it. Lee Byung Hun doesn't chase youth, he carries the weight of time like a crown. Proof that true allure, true greatness isn't born overnight, it's forged, in patience, in pain, in purpose. He is not just the face of Korean cinema, he is its soul, elegant, enduring, eternal. And as the credits roll on this journey through 15 living legends, one truth remains. Time doesn't take beauty away, it deepens it. And for these icons from Gong Yoo to Lee Byung Hun, the years have not been an enemy, but a companion. Because when grace meets growth and passion meets patience, age becomes art. Lee Byung Hun, July 12, 1970-55. If aging were an art form, Lee Byung Hun wouldn't just be the Mona Lisa. He'd be the entire museum. Timeless, mysterious, impossibly magnetic. He began his journey as the boy next door in Beautiful Days, armed with little more than a warm smile and eyes that could melt through glass. There was something disarming about him. That rare blend of charm and sincerity that made you believe every line he said, every tear he shed. He didn't act emotion, he translated it. But time turned that warmth into something even more mesmerizing. At 55, Lee Byung Hun has evolved from heartthrob to cinematic event. He's not just a leading man anymore, he's a force of gravity. When he enters a frame, the atmosphere changes. The air feels heavier, richer, like you're standing on sacred ground. Watch him in Mr. Sunshine and you'll understand, he doesn't deliver performances. He conducts symphonies of silence. A single glance from him tells an entire backstory. A faint smirk can shift a scene's emotional temperature. You wait for his next move, not because you're curious, but because you need to know what comes next. Every line on his face feels earned, carved by years of laughter, loss, and relentless dedication to his craft. His presence is both intimate and untouchable. Gentle enough to comfort, powerful enough to destroy. What makes Lee Byung Hun extraordinary isn't just his versatility, it's his mastery of control. He can devastate you without raising his voice. He can command a crowd with a whisper. He's not chasing youth, he's defining legacy. And yet, beneath the layers of sophistication, there's still a flicker of the man we first met decades ago, the boy with the disarming smile, now armed with decades of wisdom. Watching Lee Byung Hun today is like reading a novel you never want to end. One where every chapter deepens the mystery, sharpens the beauty, and reminds you that true charisma doesn't fade. It ages into power. Lee Byung Hun isn't just part of Korean cinema. He is Korean cinema personified. Jun Ji-hyun, October 30th, 1981, age 43. If Elegance and Chaos had a child, her name would be Jun Ji-hyun. She's not just an actress, she's a phenomenon. When she exploded onto the scene with My Sassy Girl, she redefined what a female lead could be. No fragile damsel, no predictable beauty. She was bold, funny, wild, and real. She didn't need to fit into anyone's mold because she built her own. But time has only sharpened her. At 43, Jun Ji-hyun is no longer the storm, she's the eye of it. The unpredictability is still there, but now it's refined. A carefully controlled power that feels even more dangerous. Watch her glide down a red carpet or appear on screen in My Love from the Star. She doesn't demand your attention, she simply takes it. Her aura feels untouchable, like gravity itself bends toward her. One smirk, one pause, one flick of her hair, and suddenly the world forgets to breathe. Her beauty is commanding, yes, but it's her energy that's lethal, that magnetic push and pull that makes you wonder, does she even know how powerful she is? Or is that the whole point, that she knows exactly what she's doing and she's enjoying every second of it? Jun Ji-hyun doesn't just perform, she reigns. Lee Dong-wook, November 6, 1981, age 43. If there's a secret to eternal youth, Lee Dong-wook might be its guardian. Because honestly, does this man age at all? Back in My Girl, he was the mischievous heartthrob with that disarming grin, all charm and boyish confidence. He was the kind of actor who could make you fall for him with a wink. Then came Goblin, and the world saw the evolution, not just in looks, but in aura. The playful prince had become the grim reaper of every heart. Sleek suits, quiet power, a voice that feels like midnight velvet. At 43, Lee Dong-wook is the embodiment of controlled intensity. Every move is deliberate, every expression sculpted with purpose. His eyes no longer just smile, they command. He's learned the fine art of presence, how to freeze time simply by standing still. What makes him truly magnetic is that paradox within him, the eternal boy wrapped in a man's sophistication. He can still flash that mischievous grin that feels like a spark from the past, but now it's backed by gravitas. A confidence forged by experience. Lee Dong-wook doesn't need to chase roles anymore. Roles chase him. And every time he appears on screen, you can't help but wonder, is he really human? Or has he mastered the art of never fading? Son Ye-jin, January 11, 1982, age 43. They call her the nation's first love, and for once the title doesn't exaggerate. Because Son Ye-jin doesn't just act, she makes you remember how it feels to fall in love for the first time. From the classic to Crash Landing on You, Son Ye-jin has spent decades embodying elegance, sincerity, and heartbreak in its most beautiful form. She was never just the pretty face, she was the feeling. The soft sigh between words, the ache in a single tear. But time has given her something even more powerful, depth. At 43, her beauty hasn't faded, it's matured into something luminous. The warmth in her smile now carries wisdom. Her gaze, once innocent, now reflects experience, joy, loss, strength. She moves through scenes with the confidence of a woman who knows she doesn't need to fight for attention. It naturally bends toward her. Every appearance, whether on screen or in real life, feels like an art exhibition. Poised, timeless, deeply human. You don't just watch Son Ye-jin anymore, you study her. Every flicker of emotion feels intentional, every silence feels sacred. She remains the dream we all remember, only now, she's turned that dream into a legacy. Kim Nam-gil, March 13, 1980, age 45. If Nam Goong-min's rise was a slow burn, Kim Nam-gil was the wildfire no one could contain. From the start, he didn't just act, he ignited. In early roles like Bad Guy and Queen Son-deok, Kim Nam-gil radiated that raw, unpredictable magnetism. Messy hair, smoldering eyes, and that signature "I dare you" smirk. He wasn't the prince in shining armor. He was the rogue, the danger, the irresistible risk you take, knowing it might hurt, and not caring at all. But wildfires do something special when they survive the storm. They transform. As the years passed, Kim Nam-gil learned to refine that chaos into focus. By the time he appeared in The Fiery Priest and Through the Darkness, he wasn't just channeling emotion. he was controlling it, wielding it like a weapon. At 45, his charm has shifted from reckless to razor-sharp. Every flick of his gaze, every tightening of his jaw feels deliberate, measured, dangerous in its precision. When he's silent, it's deafening. When he speaks, it's unforgettable. Kim Nam-gil doesn't just play characters, he inhabits them. He's no longer the storm that rages through a scene. He's the calm before it, that eerie, thrilling stillness when you know something powerful is about to hit. And that's his magic. He's not chasing the chaos anymore. He owns it. Jang Hyuk, December 20th, 1976, age 48. Some actors enter a scene. Jang Hyuk erupts into one. In the early 2000s, when many leading men were all gentle smiles and tender gazes, Jang Hyuk arrived like a lightning strike. Wild, sharp, and impossible to contain. He wasn't built for quiet romance, he was built for impact. From Volcano High to Successful Story of a Bright Girl, he was the storm that electrified every frame. All quick grins, intense eyes, and that simmering energy that made you lean closer to the screen without realizing it. He was dangerous, not in a reckless way, but in the way gravity is dangerous. You can't resist it. You just fall. But what's extraordinary about Jang Hyuk is how time didn't tame him. It refined him. At 48, that same fire still burns, but it's been distilled into something smoother, darker, and far more intoxicating. The restless energy of his youth has turned into controlled force, like a blade forged by experience. He's no longer the impulsive rebel, he's the strategic warrior, every pause loaded with intention. Watch him now and you'll see. Every tilt of his head, every narrowing of his gaze feels deliberate. The rhythm of a man who knows exactly what he's doing. His charisma has evolved from raw and explosive to quiet and dangerous. The kind of presence that doesn't need noise to demand attention. When he looks into the camera now, it's not a glance, it's a dare. A subtle question that lingers. Are you ready for what's coming next? There's something magnetic about the way Jang Hyuk has aged, as though time itself has become his co-star, sculpting each line on his face into storytelling gold. He's proof that masculinity doesn't fade, it matures. Every wrinkle, every controlled smirk carries the weight of a man who's seen life, fought for his art, and turned that journey into power. And the result? A screen presence so commanding, you don't just watch Jang Hyuk, you brace for him.